Okay, so yesterday I brought up the situation of player numbers declining in World of Warships. So this is what I brought up, and now there have been some responses from World of Warships. So what I'd like to do is go to the forums here, because it's only fair to provide different viewpoints. Absolutely fair, don't you think? Crikey, yeah. Okay, so let's switch to the main screen. Okay, so yesterday I brought up this chart. This is the guy that, this is a copy of the chart that was posted on Reddit. And this is the forums within the past 24 hours been posted. And here's he's broken down timeline of events. So a timeline is presented of events and how this chart has gone down. So there are further posts from that other site. Now I know what site the data was taken from, and it was taken using an API scraper, so it's verifiable data. And so here we have a response here. And this is from the player base posting in the forums of Wargaming. And so, you know, everybody, guys says, well, it's a 7-year-old game. People get tired of it. Well, as it turns out, Counter-Strike been around since over 10 years. I started playing Counter-Strike, believe it or not. And the player base is at an all-time high with that game. So there's another argument that can be debunked. Everybody wants to come back because it's the ego here. It's the mind just friggin' countering. So there you go. You have that there. So now, what we need to look at here is now that one of the employees of Wargaming, he's posted now in response. And let me pull up his response here. Okay. So let's switch back to the main screen. Switching back, folks. Switching back. Okay. So here we have Askance. Now, this guy was brought on just over a year ago. Maybe it'd be 2 years now. I'm not exactly sure. Might be 2 years. When the CC exodus happened, it was happening even within Wargaming itself. So he was brought in, and, you know, he's got his own unique personal profile. But, you know, the bottom line, the guy loves the game. He's got like a friggin' harness racing horse. He's got blinders on, and he's one way looking at it. That's okay. Everybody needs that. So what he's done in response, and this is posted just recently, just this morning, I think. So, hey there, folks. We'd like to react on posts showing custom graphs and data from a third-party source. And most of this is in reaction to what I posted yesterday in a video. So, he posts these graphs. Okay. So what you have to understand here with these graphs, this is, you know, from August to February 20th. What August? Now, is that April 18th of what year to February 23 of what year? We don't know. So let's see if he explains in further detail here. Okay, for explanation, this is the monthly active user, the short form, the acronym MAU, is a player that played one battle in the last 30 days. So this is how they're compiling this data that they're presenting. It's based on one battle in 30 days from one player. And another explanation, like any other online game, player populations can fluctuate, blah, 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 blah. And let's not forget the notable jump in 2020. Okay, so in response, one of the members, this guy's played a lot of games, a lot of posts, almost as many posts as he's played games. Thanks for posting. The definition of monthly active user is welcome, as comments below the similar Reddit post. So this was the Reddit post that I presented. And then apparently this is also in response to another, and this guy provided the links. Okay. So now another guy says, are you allowed to define the y-axis for us? So the community manager for Wargaming, Askance, the definition of monthly active user is one battle in 30 days. And then as a comment, as Wolf posed, as the comments below the similar Reddit post point out, it would be nice to have numbers to indicate the actual values. So the community manager responds, data is not something that companies share lightly, so we have not included the specific number of our monthly active users. However, the graph still shows that the amount of players connecting with our game each month is constant or increasing, which is valuable information. So he's doing a skate. He's not going to dive into bigger numbers, not offering to dive into bigger numbers or research more in depth and provide more data for the community base. So now, in response to another, you're allowed to define the y-axis for us. And he just states it's the raw number playing one battle per month. So he just goes back to the friggin' company line, and this is his line from the beginning, one battle per month. That's it. Okay, so now another guy, this guy's done 37,000 battles. This guy's been around for a while. And he says, please add the y-axis data. We're talking about hundreds, thousands, millions of players. That would add perspective to this discussion. By the way, the North American progression appears to be declining. What is the North American average number of games played per quarter? That will give this discussion perspective. One game a month simply is an insignificant metric for us to have a serious discussion about game populations. Very valid point. Gotta love that. So, we got a response to a response. And then another guy, he mentions about maple syrup. The former maple syrup website previously provided information about player intensity. So this is a very different perspective, player intensity. And he further states, could you please publish charts complementing the ones above that show the total number of games played? And so another guy responds, well, people who play one game per month is up slightly. Other things like total games played and money spent aren't included. And no, I didn't expect the last one, money spent. So here we have the same guy, Bill, that talked about maple syrup. So he's going to post some data for maple syrup. And he states the bottom player section of the chart from the former maple syrup website author's Twitter is most informative. I've summarized the data below. Spoiler, half the players only count for 1% of the games. So we have this data. This was when the maple syrup site was going. And as you can see, by number of the more battles, the less active players. But it gives you a really good breakdown of what's going on. And Wargaming hasn't been able to provide in response to what our video was the other day of anything other than 1 battle per month, and that's their mantra. So here's another guy. He's played 15,000 battles, so he's been around a bit. And he's just reminding everyone this is 1 battle in 30 days. It does not take into account the many players who have been cutting playtime a lot due to changes, lack of development engagement with player base about issues. So that could be 1 co-op battle, 1 ranked battle, 1 ops, or 1 random battle in 30 days. That's it. Heck, this guy says, I think I even randomly log in and play at least 1 to 2 battles a month on average, but I used to play 100 plus battles a month. And I got to agree. I've used to do it a lot more, way down. And CVs, subs, and these hybrid ships with friggin' planes has really killed the fun factor. You know, the chance of having a good game, even when it's a loss, is very slim nowadays. So charts players are posting are showing the mass drop-off of matches and random battles due to the massive shit show they have become due to poor game mechanics. Got to admit that's very valid. And so he further states, I don't want this game to die. I've played it off and on since release and wish I could play it more today, but I won't until things change. If things don't ever change, then I'm okay with not playing much still. I got to agree with that. And Naval Pride, I've, discussed things with him off and on over the years, and the forums also. His 22,000 battles. So he flip-flops between supporting WG, which is WG Wargaming, and a different opinion. So he'll flip-flop back and forth. But here's another guy from Montreal, Quebec. 14,000 battles. So anybody that's done that many battles has been around for a while. So his response, that's pretty much what I expect at this point. WG is using a metric like MAU to size the player population. Thanks for sharing. I'm afraid it will not address the concerns of many players, however. And because typically more interested in average online player counts. And there's no doubt about it. And then here you got this other guy. Now he's going to go back. He's done 6,700 battles, so he's been around for a bit now too. Figures, Flamu is the first person to make a video. There's a lot of anti-Flamu. But one thing about it, Flamu knows the mechanics of the game better than anybody else. Absolutely better than anybody else. Has he got a personality? Absafrigginlutely. You like it or you don't like it. But the fact of the matter is, we're not here to like or dislike on an emotional level. We just want the data. We just want the facts. And if you cannot separate your emotions from data and facts, that's your issue. Nothing to do with me. So I just want to make that clear. So another guy mentions the question, who is posting misleading info about the company or the creator? Company one feels like it is missing a lot of data to counteract the other information being sent out. The same could be said for creators of clickbait videos. Honestly, the game receives more negative publicity than positive. Well, here's the thing, and this is what nobody's taken into consideration. The company, Wargaming, let's be clear on something here. All roads do lead to Putin. The company has constantly promoted and posted misleading information. So the company, Wargaming, has a history of providing misleading information. So nobody trusts them. That's just a fact of the matter. That is just a fact of what's going on here. And it's been like that from day one. Pretty much. At the beginning, they weren't too bad. But as they started becoming successful, things started changing, and The people that ran wargaming, their company policy started changing. So let's go back to the main screen. Now, I did find the site Stuff Kakawala OVH Stats. So here is the actual site. Where this original data was taken from. Okay, so here, 2015, this is when the game started. This is the 10th month, 2022, so October 2022. They do state also ignoring the last 2 months, so they ignored the last couple months of data. So here you have it. Players with 0 random battles and a 0% win rate. This tells you what's going on here. Player gain, player loss. Player gain, player loss. Okay? So now, same thing on a monthly basis. And you see, huge gains. Huge gains. And then it friggin' trails off, goes down. Goes down a little bit. Come do a little bit of a spike here. Do a little bit of a spike, but then by October, look at this here. Whoa. For over a year. No, 3 years. Just constantly going down. And then finally, you notice huge numbers dropping. Okay, so now here's more relative data. Player gain loss per month based on 200 random battles and a 0% win rate. Okay. Blue's the positive, red's the negative. It's not hard to figure out where this is going. And 200 random battles, 0% win. So now let's do 2,000 random battles and a 55% win rate. Now, you know how hard it is to get 55% win rate? It is not easy if you just kept the same account that you started with. Because at the beginning, you did not do well. Trust me. But so we look at it from 2015, inception of the game. Basically, when I just started. And now October 2010. Or sorry, 2022. So you do see, since 2020, maybe even before, it's 2020. See, start seeing a trend declining versus increasing. So you're having a net loss as you move forward. So there you go. That's the data. That is the data. And 2,000 random battles, 2,000 random battles and 55% win rate. Okay, so now you've got the newcomers, plus you've got the people that have been in the game for a long time, and you see it dropping. Okay, and just the active players in the last 3 months, and don't forget that only goes up to October 2022, 7.92%. So here was the chart that we were discussing earlier, where it's gone down. So here you are now, October 2022. Active players, 447,000. Let's take a peek here. 1.2 million, January 2018. You know, that's a huge drop, like it's 1/3. 2/3 have dropped out. From 1.2 million, January 2018, to 447,000, March 2023. That's March 2023, actually. Okay. So there you go. Now we can go further into clan battles and stuff like that, but the trend right there. You cannot miss the trends. So now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show to you Yikes, somebody's phoning. Put on ignore. Okay, so now we're going to show the graph with the timeline. Absafrigginlutely. Got to show the timeline. Got to have timelines in here, folks. So the timeline here this is a CV rework. This is the first dry dock mission that came into the game, Puerto Rico. Now don't forget, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, Puerto Rico's been in the dry dock twice. It was the first ship in, and then they did a second time not too long ago. So you notice here, we got her coming down. Mind you, 2016, it was just popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up, and then finally hit a high here about 2018. CV rework. Start moving down. Now we got the dry dock bringing Puerto Rico. Slight downward trend. Subs are announced. So they've announced subs, so it's still a straight line, just announced it, haven't implemented. Now they bring in the Research Bureau. Now the Research Bureau comes in, a bit of a spike, but now you start seeing a trend down a fair amount. Now we see a friggin' slope down. Okay, that's the Research Bureau. Research Bureau is brought in, and then right after that, subs with ping announced. So they've mentioned that ping subs are going to be able to ping. So now we see a further decline. This is just an announcement. Okay. And then Wargaming has a fight with all their content creators, and you have a mass exodus of all the content creators. That includes Little White Mouse. Invaluable information from her. We had a great community following in the forums, and it was just absolutely wonderful to be able to have a community that worked like that. But now you have the community contributor exodus, and look at where this is. It friggin' drops like a friggin' rock here. And it's going to continue now because now we have the economy rework, and it's dropping even further. Then they bring in the Kriegsmarine, which is German, and U.S. Navy subs into early access. Friggin' keeps dropping like a rock. Then they bring in super ships. Keeps dropping like a rock. Now they bring in UK and US Navy hybrid ships. And look at, just friggin' dropping like a friggin' rock. So the timeline with the events that are categorized here explain a huge story. And the story is that they're losing customers and they're making this game, and it's their own doing and making it into what was not perfect, but definitely was good, into a real crap show that's just going on a decline to nowhere. And that's the reality. That is the definite reality of what's going on now. So, not much you can do about it, folks. So, I'm just going to look at, we're going to look at Reddit. This is World of Warships itself. And this was posted about 4 hours ago. So let's look at Reddit itself. Just one quick look. Before we go on with the show, we must go. Okay, so here on Reddit, let's be fair here. PSA, WoW's player trends regress. Monthly active users. Hey there, folks. So this is, what's the friggin' date today? May 23. May 23. I've got enough friggin' calendars there. Okay, so just rehashing the same thing that Askance did in the community forums. This is on Reddit. And then here's the comments. Two questions. Where is the spike from CIS transfers on EU? We appear to be missing some numbers on the axis. I remember we're starting at 0, right? Another guy says the CIS EU transfer should be around October 2022. There is a slight jump to a higher level. The number of transfer players is not that high compared to the total number of players of the EU server. And then another guy 3 hours ago, Tiger Shark, says, this doesn't seem to track with my personal experience of watching the prime time hours. Number of North America decreased from 14 to 16 to 10 to 12 over the last 24 to 36 months. Unless you're seeing the increase in non-prime hours, makes up for this drop, I find it a little hard to believe. Also, how can a studio that uses every type of psychological manipulation in the book to sell gambling be trusted to not use sleight of hand to present the product data in a favorable light? Okay, so some very, very valid arguments here on the Wargaming's Reddit site. So, as the guy says, a graph with no numbers is data without data. Also, a definition of what a monthly active user is would be useful to understand the missing data. As it is, these graphs have little value based on one game per month. Exactly. Little data whatsoever. So there you go, folks. And on with the show we must go. So there you go. That's what's happening with Wargaming. Want to update you on what's happening with the forums player base and how Wargaming is continuing their mantra of deny, and they'll just manipulate. They keep saying, well, we're going to change our ways, we're going to change our ways, and they've represented that in the forums, and they keep doing it, and they keep friggin' flip-flopping back and keep trying to hide things. And the player base that was, and a lot of it's disappeared, everybody said we've had enough of it. Absolutely had enough. And it's understandable. Okay, so thanks for watching. Base in the comments. Place your comments. Let us know what you think, where the game's going, where it's not going, and what we need to do to fix it. Thanks for watching. Take care, folks.